So I'm on a page on Reddit looking at an article that was talking about Sexy Red for a video that I'm recording about Nara Smith and Meghan Markle. And somebody posted this comment. This is how a lot of people see us as Black women, and it annoys me, talking about the stereotypes that Sexy Red plays into. We deserve to be seen as individuals. And then here comes the usual suspects talking about how we can't do anything to change anyone's mind, why try to change anyone's mind, and that these stereotypes have always existed. And so it's out of our hands, and white people did this. I think I'm going to call this series like Lies or Myths You Believe About the Black Community because these are lies and myths. Black people have had control over our image for about the last 50 years. Once the civil rights movement kind of came to an end in the late 60s, starting in the 70s and 80s, you did have more opportunities for Black media. We still had things like Ebony Magazine, Jet. A couple decades later, you get BET. We have had control over our image for a while, longer than we really want to admit to ourselves or claim out loud, because then we would have to talk about how many of the people in our group have used that control over the media to tarnish our image and to reinforce stereotypes and do things like exactly what Sexy Red is doing. It's hard to say that white people are doing this to her. They couldn't do this without her. So this idea that, oh, this is all white people. No, this is white people in conjunction with Black people who absolutely think the same way you do. Because on her side of things, she's just an individual woman. Why should anyone care what she says and does? She's not the representative for the whole. And that's such a cop-out, and it reflects the lack of accountability that most of us have and most Black people have about the way we're perceived. We live in a global village. People can roll over in the morning, turn on their phone, and see what you and your group are doing. And considering that, like, we as Black people are some of the most hypercritical people on the internet about other groups, to say that other groups don't get a chance to critique and criticize the things we do, that's very hypocritical. Everyone can see everyone else right now. We can see everyone's faults. Japan has like the most advanced society, and they still have to have a train car that separates the men from the women because the men don't know how to behave themselves. We can see everyone's society. If you want to be honest about your group, that's a lot harder, because I guarantee you that none of the people in Japan really want to tackle the issue of, you have this super advanced society, but you have to separate the boys and the girls. And we know that they don't want to have that conversation because Japanese women have opted out of giving birth to the next generation of Japanese people by and large. So we can continue to not have some of these conversations and watch the situation get worse and come to its natural ending, which is our reputation does become solidified. And I'm not saying that you need to bend over backwards to like appease white people. I am saying that you do need to worry about the African Americans, our tribe, as a tribe on the world stage that has a lot more influence and power than we want to believe. But also every 3 to 5 days, we want to be thrown up crying about how somebody is copying us or taking that, or looking to us, or purchasing power. Like, it's, like, that's a good term to throw around. We do have control over our image. We continue to prop up celebrities who do not care what that image is. In fact, many of them benefit from creating entertainment that makes Black people look bad, that reinforces a lot of stereotypes. Tyler Perry is a damn billionaire off of Black stereotypes. So it wasn't white people going to see those plays. So when we sit here and say, this is how a lot of people see us Black women, we deserve to be seen as individuals, but then there's a sea of people saying, well, you can't do anything about it. Why try and change how people view you? It's always existed. We only think it's always existed because we look at race from an American perspective, and we don't look at the systems that predated race. Um, there were other stereotypes of other groups. You were classified as other groups before race became the main way that people interacted with other social groups. Um, this idea that how white people think is so ever present and going to be so ever powerful in your life that you can't fight against it. A lot of us will say that we don't care about white people's opinions, but then turn around and talk about how this Black person isn't centering white people's opinions enough. So, best example I can give you is, you know, biracial people or multiracial people wanting to say, oh, hey, I am biracial, I am multiracial. And then Black people who, you know, in other contexts would say, don't center white people's opinions, you idiot. They want to say to that biracial, multiracial person, oh, well, that's not how white people would see it. Like, do you start to see how many lies the foundation of Black groupthink is built on? And this channel is primarily here, I think, to like help you wade through the groupthink that you are still clinging to as a Black woman, even in these Black women empowerment spaces. Um, and so, yeah, every time I come across a comment section or a comment or a video or something like this, where it's like, ah, yes, this is another argument that I frequently hear, and it does not help us strategize or change the amount of power we have in the world. As women of African descent, it's really important for us to kind of dissect these arguments that we frequently hear about that try to get us to believe that we have no power. We absolutely have power. We just tend to choose to use it wrong. And I'm going to keep calling that out. Thanks for listening.